Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to another edition of Crimes of the Week International.
Authorities in the Australian state of Queensland say that they're searching for an unknown man this week after he allegedly attempted to steal a helicopter from the hangar of an airport before trying to flee on a tractor. According to local media, the incident began at around 5:50 a.m. on January 21st when the suspect forced his way into a hangar at the Mackay airport using a red tractor. While reports are murky about what happened next, it appears that once inside the hangar, the man tried to steal a helicopter, with some sources stating that the man tried to use the tractor to accomplish the task. At some point, the suspect set off the hangar's emergency alarm, causing him to abandon his mission. He was then captured on CCTV footage as he unsuccessfully tried to ram open a nearby gate with the same red tractor. He eventually gave up and ran away on foot. Police are now asking anyone who might have witnessed the crime or who recognizes the suspect to come forward so they can identify him. They're particularly interested in speaking to the owner of an orange Kia Rio that was parked just outside of the airport at the time.
Authorities in the Indian state of Karnataka say that they have arrested a 40-year-old man this week after he and several accomplices allegedly kidnapped the brother of his ex-girlfriend in a failed bid to get her to move back in with him. According to reports, the whole situation started back in May of 2021, when the suspect, identified only by the last name Srinivas, started living with his 25-year-old then-girlfriend, who had recently separated from her husband. However, several months into the arrangement, the 25-year-old woman decided that things weren't working out, and in November, she ended the relationship and moved back in with her parents. Obviously deciding that his ex-girlfriend cutting all ties and blocking his number wasn't enough of a sign that the relationship was over, Srinivas hatched a new plan to try and rekindle the romance: kidnapping his ex's brother. On January 20th, he and 5 of his friends allegedly kidnapped the brother, identified by the last name Venkatesh, as he was walking home from his job as a bus driver. The man was thrown into a car and driven 140 kilometers, or approximately 87 miles, into the neighboring state of Andhra Pradesh, where he was beaten and held captive. After that, Srinivas contacted his ex, telling her that he would only release her brother if she came back to live with him. Rather than caving to this insane demand, the 25-year-old did what any reasonable person would do and called the police, who thankfully were able to safely track down and rescue her brother. Srinivas and his 5 accomplices were arrested, and all 6 are now facing charges.
Sports fans across Kenya are mourning the death of a soccer superfan this week after he was murdered at his home over an alleged land dispute. According to reports, 56-year-old Isaac Juma had just finished dinner with his family on the night of January 26th when he heard a commotion outside of his home in the town of Mumias. When he went to investigate with his brother and son, he was confronted by 2 men armed with machetes. Though Juma's brother and son managed to narrowly escape, he was brutally killed. Juma's murder has attracted widespread attention in Kenya, owing to the fact that he's a well-known soccer superfan. For years, he has been known for showing up to nearly every Harambee Stars and AFC Leopards game, always dyeing his hair and covering himself in body paint to match the colors of the team he was supporting. According to Kenyan media, in 2011, he was awarded the Kenyan Premier League Chairman's Lifetime Achievement Award for his contribution to soccer fandom. The day after Juma's murder, police arrested one of his neighbors in connection with the crime, a 27-year-old man named Milton Namatsi. Authorities say that they're still searching for the second person allegedly involved in the killing. Though no motive behind the murder has been officially confirmed at the time of this recording, police believe it may have been related to an ongoing land dispute that Juma was involved in. According to reports, in April of last year, Juma said that one of his family members wanted to take the 2-acre plot of land he lived on that he had inherited from his parents. At the time, Juma said that he had received death threats about the land and that people had tried to transfer it into their own names when he was away at soccer games. At the time of this recording, the situation is still under investigation.
Police in Ireland say that they are investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of a 66-year-old man this week after his lifeless body was allegedly brought to a post office by two men who were trying to collect his pension. According to reports, the bizarre situation began on the afternoon of January 21st, when 40-year-old Declan Hagney and his friend Gareth Coakley arrived at the post office on Stapleston Road in the town of Carlow. The two allegedly said that they were there to collect pension money belonging to Hagney's uncle, 66-year-old Peter Doyle, but were turned away because Doyle was not with them. A short time later, witnesses say they observed Hagney and Coakley standing in line outside of the post office a second time, only now they were accompanied by an elderly man. The witnesses would later tell police that the man looked like he might be sick because Hagney and Coakley had propped him up between them, and it appeared that his feet were dragging on the ground. The elderly man was also wearing a sweater that had been pulled up, obscuring his face, as well as a hat on his head. When Hagney and Coakley were allowed into the post office, they identified the man that was with them as Hagney's uncle, Peter Doyle. However, staff immediately noticed that something was wrong and asked Doyle if he was okay. It was at that point that Hagney and Coakley allegedly pretended that Doyle was having a heart attack and laid him down on the floor. When police were called, Hagney and Coakley allegedly fled the scene. When post-mortem analysis was conducted on Doyle's body, authorities found no signs of foul play. However, they did say that they believed that he had died approximately 3 hours before he was taken to the post office. This obviously raised suspicions about Hagney and Coakley's behavior that day, and why they had allegedly tried to collect Doyle's pension twice. For his part, Hagney claims that he had no idea that his uncle was dead, and insists that he and his friend's actions were totally innocent. While no charges have yet been laid against Hagney or Coakley, it seems that many locals in the area aren't buying the men's story. Hagney claims that he has been harassed and called a murderer since the incident happened, and has also been attacked at least once. He was photographed sporting a black eye while acting as one of the pallbearers at his uncle's funeral. Whether this was some knockoff Weekend at Bernie's style plot to steal money, or something else entirely, we unfortunately don't quite know yet. However, the story was bizarre enough that we thought we'd include it on this week's list. At the time of this recording, the incident is still under investigation.
Authorities in southwestern Germany say that one person was killed and 3 others were wounded this week during a shooting at a public university. According to reports, the incident took place on January 24th when the suspect arrived on the campus of the University of Heidelberg. After walking into a lecture hall, the gunman proceeded to open fire on those inside before fleeing the building. 3 people, identified as a 19-year-old woman, a 20-year-old woman, and a 20-year-old man, were wounded in the shooting, while a 23-year-old woman who was shot in the head later died from her injuries. By the time police arrived at the scene, the gunman had taken his own life. The suspect has been identified only as an 18-year-old man named Nikolai G. and is believed to have been a biology student at the university. On January 27th, authorities announced the suspect had obtained the 2 long guns used in the shooting during a trip to Austria about a week ago. The 2 weapons were recovered at the scene along with 150 rounds of ammunition. A third long gun that the 18-year-old also reportedly purchased while in Austria was found in the room that he had rented during his stay there. At the time of this recording, police have not offered any definitive motive behind the attack, but say they are still looking into the suspect's background. Some reports say that he had previously suffered from mental illness. The incident is still under investigation.
Authorities in the Brazilian state of Sao Paulo say that a 52-year-old businessman has died in the hospital this week, more than 50 days after he was allegedly shot by his wife during an argument at their home. According to reports, the incident began in early December of 2021, when police in the city of Praia Grande received a report that a man had been shot at a residence in the neighborhood of Boqueirão. They arrived to find 52-year-old Bruno Jr. critically injured after suffering a gunshot wound to his chest. When Bruno's wife, a 41-year-old Army dental lieutenant named Karina Fogolin, was questioned about what had happened, she initially claimed that they had been the victim of a robbery, She told police that an unknown gunman had shot her husband and then had fled the scene. However, this story changed when witnesses claimed that they had seen Karina shoot her husband, and a subsequent search uncovered a handgun believed to be the murder weapon hidden under a car in their garage. She was then arrested and charged with attempted murder. Karina now claims that she killed her husband because he attacked her and that he had been secretly stealing money from her. However, authorities say that she had never filed any reports to this effect against her husband prior to the shooting. Following the death of Bruno this week, the charge against Karina has now been elevated to murder.
Authorities in the Ukrainian city of Dnipro say that 5 people are dead this week and 5 others are wounded following a shooting at a military factory. According to reports, the incident took place at the Pivdenmash aerospace plant early on the morning of January 27th, while guards were being issued weapons there. That's when a 21-year-old National Guard conscript named Artem Rybchuk allegedly opened fire on those inside with a rifle, killing 4 soldiers and injuring 5 others. The final victim, identified only as a woman who worked at the plant, was reportedly shot and killed after she refused to open the door for Rybchuk after he attempted to flee the premises. The 21-year-old was later taken into police custody. At the time of this recording, little else is known about the situation or what the motive behind it may have been. However, the country's president, Volodymyr Zelensky, has said that an official investigation will be conducted. Reports state that the death toll from the shooting could still rise, as one of the victims has a serious abdominal wound.
Representatives from London's Metropolitan Police say that both a 43-year-old mother of 2 and her alleged killer are dead this week after a knife attack that happened on the street in full view of terrified onlookers. According to reports, the incident took place at approximately 9 a.m. on January 24th in the West London neighborhood of Maida Vale, shortly after Yasmin Chakafi stepped out of her home. As she walked along the sidewalk on Chippenham Road, she was allegedly ambushed by her ex-husband, a 41-year-old man named Leon McCaskey. McCaskey was armed with a knife and began to stab Yasmin repeatedly, allegedly threatening anyone else who tried to get involved. The horrifying attack reportedly continued until one person, identified only as a 26-year-old Chechen man named Abraham, noticed what was happening as he was driving to work. It was at that point that Abraham drove his vehicle into McCaskey, seriously injuring him and stopping the attack. Though police soon arrived at the scene, both Yasmin and McCaskey died from their injuries. According to reports, Yasmin had divorced McCaskey 2 years prior, ending their toxic and abusive relationship. Ever since, she had allegedly struggled to keep McCaskey away from her. Just a side note, some of the reports that we came across also list McCaskey's last name as McCaskey. At the time of the attack, a warrant was out for McCaskey's arrest after he failed to appear in court after allegedly violating a stalking order that Yasmin had taken out against him. In haunting text messages that Yasmin sent to her friends as far back as 2020, she claimed that McCaskey had placed cameras in her apartment and that he had stolen her mail and phone in order to obtain her personal information. She further said that she had tried everything to stop his behavior, but that she feared he would try and kill her. Though Yasmin's murder itself has understandably garnered significant public outrage, the story has generated even more headlines owing to the fact that the 26-year-old man that intervened in the attack was arrested on suspicion of murder. Though Abraham has since been released, police say that they are still investigating the incident, and it appears that murder charges could still be brought against him. At the time of this recording, more than 40,000 people have signed a petition demanding that the murder inquiry against Abraham be dropped. His actions have also been praised by some of Yasmin's family members. That brings us to the end of this edition of Crimes of the Week International. If you're a fan of the new series, don't forget to tell us in the comment section below. While you're there, make sure to subscribe to Crime Zone for more true crime content like this, making sure to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with our latest videos. Thank you for watching.